Hi all, it's the end of May. It's I think the 26th. I'm gonna do a full walkthrough. I've been doing a bunch. I got a bunch more to do. Always more to do. But the um, bindweed is starting to flower out, so I need to get that out as quick as I can if I don't want to have more bindweed problems later. This is my oregano bush that's right next to the drain from the house, or from the swamp cooler, and from a good chunk of the roof. This is the biggest oregano bush I think I've ever seen. It's time to harvest it and hang it up for drying. It hasn't flowered yet. This is kind of the best it's going to be. A lot of weeds around it, but so it goes. Culinary time. I liked putting the oregano and thyme here. That the other oregano bush is right next to drain for the other side of the house. It's really pretty. I like it. This is my red grape. It's a pink Reliance grape. This is my white grape. I forget what kind I put there, but so I need to go through. It's on the list somewhere in here, but go through and put the wire between these two posts, kind of cantilever it. I think it's cantilever is the right word, but anyway, tie the wire down to the ground to help hold some of the weight, and then get it ready, because not this year, but probably next year, this grape is going to start growing up along the wire. It's going to pretty well fill out that trellis it's on right now. I had 6 hostas planted here. Only 3 have survived, but I got 3 hostas, and this tree right here shades it out most of the summer, so I've been having a hard time finding something that can handle the dry and the shade and the heat and all of that, and so I'm glad I got at least 3 out of 6. I've been cleaning up around here. I still have a few these weeds popped up since last weekend, but have a few small patches in here, and then this bigger patch right here. Other than that, the left half of the front yard's been planted out, so I'm just kind of going as I go. These are Sharon's lavenders. Sarah's mother gave me some lavender seeds. They did not transplant well. I don't think that all of them are going to survive the transplant, so I may need to get more seeds from Sharon in order to replant, so I can get a nice, I want a nice long bush row of these. These should bush out in order to cover the space between them and just make one solid wall of lavender, so it smells really nice when you come out. Hard to see. I've planted out 4 different patches of flowers. This has tickweed, kind of native fringed sage, and paintbrush plant, which is a parasitic plant that grows on the sage in this section. Over here, blue flax and lupins. Up there is purple clover, goldenrod, and one other thing I can't remember. And then what I planted out here, these are blanket flowers. This is one of my favorite native flowers. And then black-eyed Susans. The black-eyed Susans didn't transplant well. The blanket flowers are going to survive, but I think only half the black-eyed Susans are. So I'm going to have to, as soon as I get done planting all this out, I'm going to start some more black-eyed Susans inside and hopefully get them out so this row is finished off by the end of the year. This is one of my favorite plants. This is the Rocky Mountain Penstemon, Rocky Mountain Beard Tongue. And then I've been trying to grow columbines in different spots around the house for a long time. Finally got one from last year where the columbine took. So I've got some Rocky Mountain columbines coming. I planted a couple more next to it. The irises have done well. I have white and dark purple in this bed. The dark purple's still going. The white's pretty well done at this point. Haven't gotten any blooms from the daylilies or from the gladioluses yet. Need to come through and weed out this chunk right here, and weed out this bed generally. But this Nanking cherry, start of the year, it was one little sprig. It survived through the winter, and it has exploded. And then this one is taller than I am now. Really pretty blooms. I'm glad I put Nanking cherries here. They bloom really quickly. Like, they don't last for a long time. They're here for a good time, not a long time, but they are really pretty. Been pulling out the lavenders from this patch in order to try and get them out front. Not sure what I'm going to do with this after I finish getting the lavenders out and transplanted. I think I'm going to try and do that later today. But I'm loving these tree day lilies. I'm looking forward to seeing how those do. I kind of wanted a wall of color here as we walk back. Oh, catmint and a couple of honeybees. The bees are out. I've added bleeding hearts over here in this kind of nasty corner. Hopefully they take over and kind of hide that I don't take good care of this area. But I love bleeding hearts. Back here, we're busy. We're real busy. Still need to prune up this rose. It's starting to bud out. I am way behind on pruning this thing. Blackberry has successfully overwintered. And it's kind of tying itself up here at this point. And so I'm going to have blackberries this year. Raspberries, I've weeded out the bed. I got the trellis up for it. It's not pretty, but it gets the job done. And looking forward to those. I like the heritage raspberries. And then this is a blueberry, my blueberry that has finally survived. I've been trying to plant blueberries in this for the last 3 years, and I finally got one that overwintered. In here is gross. Oh, hello, squirrel. Can you see the squirrel? Hello, squirrel. He is helping. He's helping so much. He's helping plant peanuts everywhere. Need to weed out this side of the bed, this last row. There's a bunch of stuff planted here, but there's also tons of dandelions and bindweed and stuff that I need to go through and knock out. But the pea plants are these taller ones. These are coming along. And then in rare spots, like right here, that kind of heart-shaped leaf, that's a sweet potato vine. So I'm going to be trying to grow sweet potatoes in this, and I'm really thinking that they're going to take off around the time that the peas are about done. So I'm trying to use this space and have like a succession coming through. This bed right here had a lot of, it's got leaf lettuce, the mesclun greens mix, the thing you find at every Home Depot. And then carrots and lots of radishes. I'm pulling out the radishes right now. I've had to clear out some to get room for my peppers already. The tatsoi does really well, but I'm sick of the flavor, and I've grown tatsoi for, I want to say, 6 or 7 years now. So I like that the seeds last so long or whatever, but I'm tired of growing tatsoi. These bigger ones are broccoli. They haven't started heading yet. They're still growing out, but broccoli is coming. And then there's onions planted in between the tatsoi and broccoli in this bed. Tatsoi and broccoli both only last until about the end of next month. At the latest. So when it's time for me to pull those out, then these onions are going to grow in and take its place. Got my peppers planted. Basil. Got my peppers planted. I think I have 10 or 11 different kinds of peppers this year. Got my tomatoes planted out. I planted 11 tomatoes and 2 tomatillos. These rows right here are beets, and then on the outside are onions. And I have some volunteer lettuce popping in kind of randomly. I like lettuce. I'm just gonna let the volunteer lettuce, as long as it's not like on top of something else where I want that other thing there. I'm just letting the lettuce kind of volunteer itself and self-seed. Trying a whole bunch of new kinds of peppers this year. And here's the kale bed. Kale's doing well. We're going to have plenty of it. We always eat a lot of kale. Like, I know not a lot of people like kale. We do. We eat a lot of it. And then I'm sticking rosemary over in this corner because reasons. The comfrey is up and flowering and really about ready for most of it to be cut back to be used as a mulch or fertilizer. I'm trying to debate whether I want to do that or whether I want to let it grow deeper and just grow as deep of a taproot as possible. It's a really long-lived plant. So if I don't need it right now, I'd rather just let it grow bigger and bigger and bigger and get as established as possible. So hopefully next year and the year after, it'll grow back a little quicker, and over time I'll get more biomass off of these comfrey than what I'm getting now. But I may cut it back because I want to make a couple more beds. Or at least use it where I, like, put it in where I took out the lavenders and where I'm taking out the lavenders. This garlic is 3 feet high, around there. Looking good, no scapes. Oh, the scapes are starting to come out. This is a garlic scape, so the flowering head. I love eating those. Yeah, here's another one. So yeah, the scapes are starting to come for these. So that means we're getting closer. I usually harvest garlic around 4th of July. We're getting our first nectarines. First nectarine. Pretty nectarine. This pear tree, this is the Bartlett pear. This is having a hard time. I mean, take a look at it. That's not what a tree is supposed to look like. I may have to hack it and start over just because this thing isn't staying up. But it's heavy with fruit, which is part of why it's not staying up, I think, is because it's getting dragged over on these spindly branches. So I have to go through and prune out a whole lot of the fruit from the trees where the branches aren't big enough to support it. Here's another example. This is the Pink Lady apple. All of those are going to be apples. This tiny little branch, the thickness of a pencil, is not going to be able to hold that many apples. Recommendation is to have 1 apple per every 8 inches or so of tree branch. I don't think this tree is going to survive even that. I think that it's going to get too heavy even to cover that many apples. Second garlic bed. This one gets a little less sun than the other one does. This one over here is direct sun and gets afternoon sun. This one gets shaded out by the house in the afternoon. So still big. It's still about 3 feet high, but very few scapes. It's not putting out as many scapes. So that 8 inches for the apples thing, this apple tree likely to do much better because the branches are so much thicker. I'm still going to try and keep it real limited, but yeah, some of it's just kind of, you got to look at the tree and figure out what it can handle. This one can handle a lot more than this one. The Egyptian walking onions are starting to go to seed. These areas where there's kind of dirt towards the top of the patch, or dirt on top of the mulch, these are places where I'm going to be planting squash. I need to go through because look at this forest of bindweed. This is today's project, is go through, hack back this bindweed as much as possible because I need to plant squash out like yesterday. Horseradish is doing fine. That's that big patch. I have 3 honeyberries and some weeds, which is making it hard to see one of the honeyberries. This is a honeyberry plant right here. I don't know how well that one's going to do, but this guy and this honeyberry over here are both doing fine. And then I'm glad to see this took. This is a rose bush that's grown for, it's called Sweet Hips rose bush, but it's grown for rose hips for teas and tinctures. So I like rose hip tea. So, and then last one over here, I think, last one for the yard pretty much. This is the asparagus patch. I have a few more asparagus plants to go in to fill some holes in this patch, and I need to come through and weed out the bindweed. But the asparagus is good. We got our first harvest of asparagus this year. It was very small. It was like added into 1 omelet, and that's all I could take. But like take off of it without damaging the plants. But the fronds are much bigger than they were last year, and so I'm hoping they're going to get a lot of energy. And hopefully next year we'll be able to start harvesting asparagus spears a little more aggressively. Yeah, that's about what I got here. It's springtime. The birds are out. I've seen squirrels, skunks, haven't seen raccoons, a bunch of rabbits. A few frogs are living in the gardens, the annual bedside. And yeah, I'm trying to keep on top of it and play around out here as much as I can, get as much sun to try and forget about work. And that's what I got. Happy spring. It's end of May. And the weather looks really good for the next couple weeks, and it's been good so far. So I'm planning for pretty explosive growth over the next couple weeks. Maybe I'll take another video soon. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good weekend. Happy Memorial Day. Take care, y'all.